Okay, thanks everyone for coming. So I apologize for the taskbar. Maybe we'll try and work it out next time. My presentation is about the DDev development tool, which is the tool, the official tool that is recommended by the Drupal community to run your local development site. I thought there was like a knowledge gap and how to use it in Oceania. So I thought I should do a presentation about kind of a little bit about what it is and how to what's good and what's bad, and a few configuration kind of options. Okay, cool. We'll just a short spiel about myself. 10 years Drupal. I do some running and stuff, and I come last in marathons. But enthusiasm. It's great. Okay, that's the agenda there. You can see on the screen. It's basically a little bit about it, pros and cons, compared to like Lendo, so like flexibility and things. What you might need to worry, you might have like corporate policy restriction on your computer, so you might need to worry about SSL certificates, and so that the container can like update to the right PHP version. And there's a few other customizations that you can do, and a note about like performance as well. There's a QR code. The QR code, I'll update the presentation. It's to my GitHub. You can like bookmark it and then I'll upload it later after this. I was just still like fixing some formatting for the presentation. So unfortunately, it's not there yet, but it will be there. So I'm hoping that this presentation is going to be kind of like a reference guide for some quick options you might use. There we go. So a little bit about what local development is. One way to think of it is like we cannot all like work on the same thing. We can't all work on the same car, the same paint or something. So when you do your code, if you break it for the website to test something, then you break it for everyone else. So you need a local development tool. So you have your copy of the code, and you can do what you want with it. And then when it's ready, you can put that new change in with everyone else's tested changes. No, it's all good. Cool. Cool. So comparing DDev to Lendo and others, so the pros and cons. DDev uses a kind of monorepo kind of architecture, where it has multiple versions and lots of utilities included in the container. So you download all the content, like when you turn on your project, and you can switch between different installed versions of PHP. So it's a bit easier, but there's some gotchas when you try and deviate outside of this kind of architecture, I guess, like a different Apache configuration with your PHP. It's kind of like fiddly, but for what it does, it's excellent, very reliable. So one cool thing about it is that the traffic proxy inside it, the router, can map any port to any port inside it. You're not locked into just HTTP port, so that's kind of very nice. Also, it's a bit more, to me, based on my research, it's very fast, more maintained and more community velocity in its development compared to DDev, to Lendo. Cool. A bit more specifics about it. DDev has a kind of very focused architecture. So some things to note is it has, when you run your project, you have like different types of projects. DDev can run not just Drupal, but also like a WordPress or like a Laravel or something like that as well. And so it has all these projects has a kind of defined way of running, and that's like a web container and a database container and a few other things. And you, in the default, like in its the way that it runs is you cannot delete, you cannot remove, you cannot like override the web container, but you can modify the web container, but you cannot like remove it completely. So you can't like take some parts of DDev and then reuse it. you have to like kind of work within the rules of its opinionated architecture, and then add things on top, and then it works great. So there's some notes if you're trying to run something like completely different, like a Java container or something, then that's great, but you have to have the open container as well, so you might have to like proxy your request across. So it's a little opinionated in that area. The way it works with the configuration and the kind of layers to its settings, in your project folder you have a DDev, .DDev folder in your project folder. And compared to Lando, where it's kind of more like everything's in the YAML file in the project root, and DDev is in the folder, and things are split up to like layers and things. And when it runs, it will like compile them into kind of monolithic files, and then Docker will run off those. So it's kind of like a split up compared to Lando. So it's a bit easier for like layers, but a bit harder for the replacement. DDev has a strong plugin architecture and community, so it's you can kind of have like create your own plugins and you can version control them. And it seems like to me Lando's like it does have a plugin system, but it's not really apparent how you can make your own version or upgrade go to certain versions of them. And the plugins, I'll talk later on this, but the plugin is not just like, oh, we just add like this type of container or something. It's more like a layout, and then it applies that layout to your project. So you got like an overlay of different files, and it updates those files when the plugin is updated. Unless this automatic generated line is there, then it will not update that file because it knows that you've manually overwritten it. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of like best of both worlds, I guess. But you do need to track, like, if you don't override it, then is there some change upstream that you might need to worry about? Then that's kind of a con, I guess. A bit more. It's got more support. DDev's more support commands like Lando and other things. It's got more provider support. It's also has some performance enhancements. Also has like DDev share. Lando used to have DDev share, but the provider they used they stopped doing that. But DDev uses a different provider, a DDev share. So that's where you can maybe you're showing your local website to someone, and they have a mobile phone, and instead of like trying to work out how to host file like DNS overrides on their phone, you just do DDev share. It will show your local website on the internet through a tunnel, so some specialized like unique domain, and then you can show your website. So it's very useful for that. It's got a few like plugins for like text editors and things. So DDev is more like supported in that area. It's also got a nice feature of database snapshot, so you can text like a binary backup of your database when you're like doing migrations rather than like dumping the SQL file and importing it again. It can take like a long time. So it's got a few like extra features and stuff. It's kind of nice. And I promise I'm going to get into the more generalized options, just a bit overview, context of the architecture. So this is the monolithic kind of containers that are out of the box. They're version controlled, like the tags, the Docker tags. Just FYI, this web server version, whatever. This is the folder structure of the .DDev folder. You can read on the screen, but essentially you got the config YAML files. Note that's YAML, not YML. And you got the main file, and then there's the wildcards ones you can use, so config.whatever, .yml, and it will merge them together. And there's a few different folders where you can place different things in. And then there's the build versions of those folders. So you got like web, but anyway, DB build is like you put your Docker file for your database build. So DDev has its own Docker file, and you can put like a one-liner, like add this program to the DDev build folder. And then when you run your project, it copies that line in the Docker file in the DDev build folder to another folder called .dimage build. Yeah. So it combines it together, and that's actually what's run like underneath. So some of them are like runtime folders, and some are like your configuration folders. Most of them have like a generated line, and you can remove that line if you want to edit anything, and then subsequent updates will not update those files. So it's kind of like a layered architecture. Still looking great. Cool. One neat thing about DDev compared to Lender is has two options for the configuration files. You can, so by default, it will like merge them together, like array, like a nested array merge. But it also has this line you can add called config override true, and then it will replace instead of adding them together. So it's quite nice if you've got like maybe like folder volumes, and you don't want the top like the previous volumes to be combined with your volumes. You just want to override what those are. So that's more flexible in that area. So yes, going back to the basics. So yeah, just to start a project, I think you might have done a first timers session, but yeah, to run DDev. So after you install it, there's it's very easy. There's a few different ways to install it, so I'm not going to go over that. You just create your folder, then you run the DDev config command with your project type and your document root. By default, it will take up the folder name as the project name, but you can override that if you're running like multiple projects of the same name for some reason in different, like 2 folders and the same name in different parent folders, then you might want to use the project name. But that's what that is. If you're like, oh, where's the project name? Cool. And then you run start, and then it spins up all the containers. And then yeah, there's the .DDev folder. Bunch of things are committed. I think it's on a different slide, but essentially, there's a bunch of things that are ignored, but the basic file is just commit the config file when you're sharing the project. Yep, cool. So some basic things with the PHP and database version. You just like do -- PHP version equals blah, blah, blah. And you can also have the configuration change, like the PHP ini, like the max execution time. And that's basically the .DDev PHP ini / whatever .ini, and it will pick it up. And you can also, it places it inside the like add-ons folder in the container. So you can also use it to replace things on purpose that come like out of the box in the containers. So that was PHP. This is the database. The database has you can change the type, like MySQL or Postgres or something. So that uses a slightly different parameter. Similar type of thing, you can also do like MySQL.cnf. I'm not sure about Postgres, but yeah, the MariaDB and MySQL use that folder for the configuration files. And it also supports other ones like Microsoft SQL through official plugins. Yeah, one thing that did surprise me is DDev comes out of the box with Node.js engine in the same monolithic web container. So it's kind of good, I guess. Like you don't need to have a separate container. It's has a few different ways of saying like the version, but the most easiest is just like -- Node.js version, whatever. And then after you do these, you do like DDev restart, and it will like apply the configuration. These are all the different commands. I'm not going to go over them all, but essentially the biggest ones are the start, DDev start, so like such a project. Stop is like, when you're finished, or you want to like not have many like resources used on your computer. And restart is not like Lando restart. Actually, it will it turns off your containers, gets the Docker file cache, reapplies your customizations on top, and then starts turns on the containers again. So it's like delete the container and then apply configuration and turn it on again. So it's a little bit different. Not really, like all the volumes are kind of shared, so you won't lose your data. But it is something to note if you're like just edit some like system file in the container and you thought your change will be tracked, but no, actually it will be deleted. Yeah, you'll have to use raw Docker Compose commands to if you want to do a real restart, not just a fake restart thing. Yeah. Oh, and DDev delete, so delete your project. By default, it takes a snapshot. So you might want to put like omit snapshot. Otherwise, it will turn on all your containers, take a snapshot, and then it will delete the containers. So, but maybe you don't really care about the project and you don't want to back up. So just pass omit snapshot. The utility ones are just for like debugging purpose. Does the same as the other one, just more verbosity. Whereas the normal DDev restart just has like dots when it's like building the container. Like maybe, so it has like certain versions inbuilt, like PHP version. And if you do some version that's not inbuilt, like PHP 7, it will try and download that, but you won't really see the progress. So it's kind of nice if you're like, oh, why is it taking so long? You can use the utility commands. There's some more notes there, but yeah, you can see the GitHub for the, like when I upload it later, to read that. A few more things. You've got DDev SSH, similar to Lendo SSH. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's pretty much all the same. Except for, I think it was, yeah, there's no Lendo update. Sorry, there's Lendo update, but DDev is, it's kind of like built in, I guess. You don't update the plugins like separately. Fine. There's the snapshots and how to do like add-ons. It's got -- version. We'll have an example of that later on. Cool. Okay. You can do custom commands. One really cool thing about this is the custom command. So that's like DDev and then whatever command. It's like DDev Josh or something. You can like make Josh do something. You can set the container that it runs on, which is similar to Lendo, but you can also make it run on the host system. So maybe you want to affect, I don't know, do something on the host. Maybe, I haven't tested, but maybe you could run some ahoy command or something with pygmy, I guess, and then whatever like else later on. But that's kind of nice, and it has the format there on the screen. It's not highlighted, but you get the .ddev folder and then where you want to run, and if it's host /host, then it'll be the host. Otherwise, it'll be like the name of the container. That's an example of how to do a custom command called mybash. So you got DDev space mybash, and then it does something. This one just echoes some statement, and then execute the command that you pass to it. So this one just like echoes, and then like I pressed it, passed echo my parameter, and it also executes that as well. You can also override. By default, it's mybash is the command name, but you because that's the file name. But if you can have a different file name to the command if you have the usage marker. Similarly, if you need like certain location for your custom default current directory, unlike Lendo where you have to specify in the YAML file, this one you have to use the bash commands. All the commands are always bash. So yeah, you run the cd command with some different environmental variables available, and you can set your own environmental variable, just like that one on the screen. Yep. So with your out-of-the-box containers, like anyone saw like different PHP version or something, you might have to deal with like custom SSL certificate. So on like EY computers, we have Zscaler, and it scans everything, but your container does not know about this software. So it just thinks like, oh, something's wrong with the connection because there's no root authority to tell me that Zscaler is the trusted. So in order to do some customization to your software and to get it trusted, there's Docker files you can use to add the root certificate so it can get trusted. And there's the pre-Docker file. So there's the Docker file .whatever and the pre-Docker file. Put in DB root or web root. Yeah, so you put in the pre, then it will put the certificate in earlier in the container. And then when it downloads a new version of PHP, it will like be trusted rather than just like erroring. And then you're like, oh, what's going on? Yeah, and make sure it's PEM formatted. It's, yeah, when you're exporting from your computer. There's like different SSL formats. That's this example. Create a file. So it's just like layered, like I said before. Have your file, and you put it into a certain location, and run update certificates. And it will run that when you do like the DDev restart. Yeah, so customizations, you can add some additional containers for your requirements. You can also remove the default containers for some, like if you maybe don't need a database, you just run like static site, then you have this line in your config YAML file. And so that's great, makes it a bit faster. And there's some sort of hack, I'm not sure it's supported, but if you want to use like web container, but you don't really like the default kind of parameters in the Docker Compose, you can kind of like create like layered Docker Compose override files, which will merge with the original, and then you can add like this reset in one of the files, and then the next file in the alphabetical order can have the real configuration. That way, instead of having a merge of the array, it will like remove the original array, and then you can have your new array. So it's like complete replacement. But it's not really like great, but it's option. Yeah, with the web container, just a note there that it uses the PHP FPM by default, not mod PHP. So if you're trying to replicate like 100% to your production website, it's not possible unless you like, yeah, have some new installation instructions or you replace the web container completely. Yeah, that's what the Docker Compose wildcard looks like. So the base is like out of the box, and the full is the generated one. And you create some wildcard matching that format, and then it will, yeah, be like come into the full file when it runs. That's an example of how to run a service. Just need like container name and the ports and environment. I think is the most key things. Oh, and volumes, yes. Container name, ports, environment, volumes. Yep. So volumes is for like shared metadata, I think, between the containers, things like commands or something like that. Yep, container name is like your name of your service. And the environment is like exposed to certain ports. The host name is just like, it helps you with the command prompt. And those ports is just like, yeah, allow like some connections in. But you can change the ports to something else, so it's kind of nice. The comment there. That's good. Oh yeah, you can, in Lando, so out of the box in DDev, the usual way is like, everything shares the same domain name. Yep. But have different port number. But if you like prefix your domain name for different services, then you can edit the virtual host to add something in front. So this example is Solar. So that's how you can kind of get like Lando kind of like functionality. Cool. Yeah, if you need to do something based on a unique name, like between services or something, it doesn't have it out of the box, just something to note. So you have to create your own like name, and that on the screen is the format to use that matches the unique name. You can add like additional programs. So when I researched this like at the start, actually I didn't realize PV is already included. That's like the progress viewer. But you can install other things. I just tried to find some random package that's not included, called htop. This is a config YAML file way of adding files. It will like generate into a Docker file. But you can also do your own like a custom way, like this on the screen with the Docker files. Yep. You can also use an extra hook. So when it runs, it will run some extra command. These is good if it's not dependent on the internet because it's not cached with the Docker file. But it's another way of running like something locally. Database import. It's pretty good. Actually, it's very performant already, the database import. You can do some small optimization. I just did some small thing with the piping directly without using the command and got like 3 second increase. So it's around like a 5%, I guess. Not really that like very, not very advantageous, but is a note that you can increase it a little bit. I think compared to like Drush, it's like quite excellent. But yeah, that's how you like pipe it directly if you want to bypass all the sanitization checks and things. This is how to do add-ons, DDev add-on get, and then the thing. There's a registry website on the screen. Yeah, you remove the marker if you want to edit some files for the plugin. That's how to install a Solar. This is an example. I need to wrap up. but yeah, you just like, you get the add-on, you restart, and then you just turn on the Drupal modules, configure it, and then yeah, it's ready. That's how to change the global port number if you need to, if you're running like multiple project like routers on your computer. Note about, yeah, it's very quick about mutagen. So it has built-in thing called mutagen. Basically creates some volume, which is kind of like your real project in the container, but it's not directly access your real files. So it's edit the copy of the files, and then we'll synchronize the files like later. So you can have native performance, and then your host will like catch up later, 2 to 10 times more performance. So it's kind of cool. That's just some notes on the screen about like if you need to configure it like explicitly, otherwise it just kind of works out of the box. If you have, so mutagen's for like the traditional Windows, not WSL, or Mac. For Linux and WSL, it's not required, but it just runs in the background. That's commands. You can do extra files. I won't go over this, but you can also map files. So you just have to note configuration to make mutagen not complain. I think that's it. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks for my listening to my presentation. The presentation will go up on the GitHub. Yeah, any quick questions? Feel free. Any questions?
So I think DDev is pretty powerful, as you say. So my first question is, what's the challenge in between you use DDev working with another architecture such as Logon? How you manage to get what's the benefits you use DDev rather than Logon or Amazon package or something like that? That's one question.
Yeah, so DDev is more reliable. So the question is about like using another local development tool. How does it compare to DDev? So yeah, DDev is more reliable. It has lots of tests, runs on like Windows and Mac and Linux for everything. Has a mutagen built in. But compared to traditional, like those different tools, those tools are more flexible. You've got more options. It's not like fixed. So like example is like the mutagen is like only does a root directory. If you're, for some reason, your project, you may have lots of repos. Maybe you want like this other folder to be, that's outside DDev folder, to be the main project folder. You cannot do that. It's like hard coded. So some things you cannot really do. Some things you can override, but some things you cannot do. So yeah, for the other tools, it's good if you need the flexibility, but if you don't need it, then using DDev is better because it's more reliable and easier to use.